Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to The Uncle Who Works for Nintendo. This is a spooky, what's the word? Visual novel, that one. This game makes extensive use of sound, play with headphones for the best experience, and occasionally it may take control of your browser. It is not optimized for mobile, and for content and trigger warnings, click there. I think we will just go ahead and jump right in. You are 11 years old. What is your best friend's name? Let's go with Michael. Your best friend Michael has invited you to a sleepover at his house this weekend. You've been friends since the first grade, so asking your mom is basically only a formality. You've never confirmed this, but you suspect the babysitter may charge extra when there are two kids. You sometimes feel like staying somewhere else is the only way you can help out. On Friday night, you're home only for a few hours. Long enough to pack, get in a fight with your younger sister, pack some more, and watch some TV. At 6 sharp, you're standing on the sidewalk outside Michael's house while your mom idles in her car nearby. She leans out the window to you. You behave yourself, okay? She says, as always. I'll be at work, but if anything happens, you call me. Yes, Mom, 'cause I love my mom. Mom is good. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 3, she says, again as usual. But then she pauses, looking up at the sky, which has been overcast throughout the day. If you play outside, she adds, be careful. It's probably gonna rain. Kiss Mom goodbye, 'cause again, I love my mom. After you part, your mom drives down the street, disappearing around the corner. You turn back to Michael's house. The lights inside are glowing warmly. You can see Michael waving at you from his bedroom on the second floor. Head inside. Hello? Oh, it is 6 p.m. Michael's mom meets you just inside. Hold on. Is anybody else noticing that there's, no sound? It might be fine. We'll see if it pops up later. Michael's mom meets you just inside. Hello, she says. Dinner will be ready in just a few minutes, but you can drop stuff off in the den. You and Michael are camping out there tonight. Cool. You drop your sleeping and overnight bags in the corner of the den, and then pause to take a look around. Behind the couch, a grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a set of patio doors on the far side of the room, you can see the sky is just as gray as it was when your mom left. Framed pictures line the walls, and over the dark fireplace hangs a monstrous pair of antlers from a buck that Michael's dad shot years ago. And of course, there is the big screen TV. Aw yeah, ultra-wide, plasma, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it makes you uncomfortable how much nicer Michael's house is than yours. Anyway, you drop... Oh, I already read that. Michael entered the room while you weren't paying attention, and he now stands in the doorway, smiling expectantly. Are you ready for dinner? He asks. Yeah. Dinner passes quickly. Tonight's meal is spaghetti and meatballs, one of Michael's favorite meals, as his mother points out while piling a helping on your plate. Michael's father cracks a beer. Or does he? Wait, that wasn't beer at all. That's a glass of lemonade. Why would you even think it was a beer? Michael's father doesn't drink alcohol. You're quite certain of that fact, now that you've remembered it. Oh, whatever then. Michael's father sips the lemonade and jovially interrogates you about how much trouble you and Michael are getting into at school. Dessert is heaping bowls of ice cream, drizzled in chocolate sauce. You can't even finish yours. Yeah, probably not. The grandfather clock in the den chimes. Okay. There's definitely no sound. Hold on. Oh! Hold on. I think... There it is. Now we've got it. Okay. I will cut to when we get up to where I'm at. There we go. You go along now, says Michael's mom, smiling from her side of the table. We'll clean up in here. Let's go get the TV ready, says Michael. I'm gonna probably need a different voice for that. The two of you leave the dining room and head upstairs. What if I just gave Michael a comically over-enthusiastic surfer voice? Michael's room is immense. You stay in the den because the TV is larger there, but there's a sizable one here, flush with the wall opposite the full-size bed. We'll take the 64 down first, says Michael. Heading toward his TV and opening the entertainment center cabinet. It's his prerogative, of course. He gets to choose what you play first, usually. But as Michael begins unhooking the cords of the N64 from the TV, you catch the sight of the other things he has in there. Like what kind of things, Michael? All the major stuff, an old SNES, a PlayStation, a Dreamcast. But some other things, too. Things you don't really recognize. A large black box with green highlights, a smaller purple one, a strange white and yellow tower with what looks like gloves resting on hooks on either side, a compact white cone. Those look cool. Michael looks to the clutter in the cabinet. Oh yeah, he says. They're pretty cool. I can't show them to you though, they're still secret. I promised my uncle. Of course, you suddenly remember his uncle. The uncle who works for Nintendo. Title drop, credits, let's go. In the corner, the grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a nearby set of patio doors, you can see it's getting quite dark. Let's go with the grandfather clock. It's 7 p.m. Framed pictures line the walls. You walk around the perimeter of the den, inspecting the pictures idly. Most of them are family portraits from years past, Michael cradled lovingly between his mother and father, or any of one of the three on their own. A happy, tidy family. Let's look for pictures of his uncle. You don't find any. Not one. The only pictures here are of Michael and his parents. You don't know why that makes you feel uneasy. Time passes. It is now 7:30. Michael is parked in front of the large TV, playing something on the N64. Let's think about his uncle. It began with Mew. You didn't believe him at first, when Michael came to school one day and told you he had finally caught Mew. Prove it, you said. So he pulled out his Game Boy and showed you. There it was. Mew. The 151st Pokemon. Available only to players at promotional events, somehow unlocked on Michael's game. It's really strong, he said. It KOs every enemy in one hit. Michael demonstrated this claim at recess, when you and some other friends linked Game Boys to do battle. You were the first one down. No one else got in a single hit on Michael's Mew. In a few days, everyone had quit playing Pokemon at recess. The allure had faded. You asked Michael, or how Michael managed to get it. Oh, my uncle got a job at Nintendo, said Michael. You were walking home together, past one of the construction crews. Michael still lived next door to you at the time. There had been a storm not too long ago. Trees were down all over town. Buildings had collapsed. You were standing at an intersection with Michael as a truck rumbled by, loaded with ragged tree trunks. What a bad storm. Wait, this couldn't have been too long ago. When did Michael move? There was something nice about being neighbors. Oh. He also got me this new Game Boy, said Michael, pulling it out of his pocket. You hadn't noticed it earlier, but yes, Michael now had a sleek new Game Boy Color. Until today, he had one of the old ones, a big gray brick like yours. This one's a special edition, said Michael. Isn't it cool? You agreed. You snap out of your reflections, and the clock chimes. You are in the den. Let's see, let's talk. I have my own Mew. You got your own Mew, eventually. Another friend had a Game Shark, which you borrowed one day. You spent that entire night unlocking every Pokemon you couldn't obtain in your copy of the game, or that hadn't yet traded for, including Mew. It didn't one-hit KO most enemies. It was incredibly weak, and you shamefully cheated the game further to make it strong enough. It even looked different from Michael's. Your Mew was small, even cute, standing there with its round, cheerful eyes. But when Michael's had wiped out everyone at school, it had looked completely different. Compact, snarling, and fierce. You asked him why. What? He said. That had been here, in the den. Oh, that thing? It had been a while since anyone talked about Pokemon. Well, my uncle got me a special edition Mew, first of all, he said, smirking a little, but not looking away from the PlayStation game he was playing. Oh, I skipped a thing here. Michael had moved by then. But how long was that after the first storm, after he got Mew? You can't remember. That's why mine look different. Second of all, mine can one-hit KO because it's the real Mew. You asked what he meant by that. Just what I said, Michael replied. You cheated and got a fake Mew, so of course there'd be problems, glitches and junk. You felt your cheeks redden. But not me, Michael said again. I got the real Mew, and only me. My brother was so jealous. Michael's brother? What about him? Why does remembering that comment make you feel uneasy? You snap out of your reflections. Let's talk to Michael. What would you like to talk about? Games. You recount some rumors you read about the new Nintendo console. Michael informs you he has a prototype upstairs you can play later. When you ask why not now, he says he is too busy playing the N64. The clock chimes. You are in the den. Michael's mother bustles into the room, holding a large ceramic bowl filled with popcorn under her arm. How are you kids doing? She asks. Good, says Michael, his eyes not moving from the television. I hope you're having fun, says Michael's mom. Here's some popcorn, extra butter. She places it on the floor by Michael. Almost immediately, Michael is shoveling popcorn into his mouth. Meanwhile, his mother smiles first at him, and then back at you. There's sodas in the kitchen if you get thirsty, she says, and some pizza from the other night if you get hungry. Thank you. She looks at Michael. Your father's gone to bed. I'll be there soon myself. I want you two to keep it quiet, all right? Yes, Mom, Michael says tiredly. Oh, and before I forget, she adds, your uncle called. He suddenly has some business here in town, but he's driving in early. He'll be here around midnight. For the first time, Michael stops playing his game, stops eating his popcorn, and turns to look at his mother. Okay, he says. I want you two to welcome him in. He'll be very tired and very hungry, so offer him something to eat before he goes to bed. Okay, Mom. Good night, kids. And with that, she's gone. In the corner, the grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a nearby set of patio doors, you can see it's fully dark outside. Here's a bowl of popcorn on the floor. You grab a handful of popcorn. It's buttery and delicious. Let's see. Let's go to the kitchen. Passing through the empty dining room, you enter the kitchen, which is also deserted right now. Let's go to the fridge. There are a few things here. Soda, cold pizza, milk, and a water pitcher. Let's go with the soda. You grab your snack and exit the kitchen, and you head back to the den. Talk to the uncle's visit. Your uncle stays with you when he visits? Yeah, says Michael nonchalantly. He lives pretty far away, so he just drops by. Isn't that a little weird? Michael gives you a look you don't like very much. How would you know? He asks. You don't even have an uncle. Yeah, I guess so. You drop the conversation in silence. So why is your uncle coming? Business. What sort of business? Stuff for Nintendo. What does Nintendo do here? Michael pauses the game and turns toward you, visibly agitated. How should I know? I don't work for them. Right now, he is not quite yelling, but you think if you keep pressing the subject, he just might. Sorry, I was just curious. Let's go to the bathroom. You head to the bathroom down the hall from the den. There's a shower, a linen closet, and a toilet. You go to the bathroom and wash your hands. Are you done here? The shower is pristinely clean. It's a linen closet filled with large, fluffy towels and washcloths. You're not sure why you looked in here. Are you finished? Not really, but supposedly I don't have a choice. The clock chimes. You are in the den. It begins raining outside. It is 10 o'clock. Talk to Michael. Ask if the storm will be as bad as the last one. I don't like the sound of the wind. You remember that storm we had that tore down all the trees? I don't know what you're talking about, says Michael. You don't remember? Remember what? The storm. It happened a few weeks ago. It was huge. It took down trees. Michael shakes his head. If it was important, I'm sure I would have remembered it, he says. You fall silent. Michael acting like a sussy baka right now. I ain't trusting that. For a while, you and Michael talk about the game on the TV. It's not one you're familiar with, and Michael explains the elaborate systems in some detail. An hour passes. The clock chimes. You are in the den. But I thought he worked for Nintendo. He does, says Michael, frowning but not looking away from the TV screen. He's really important there. Does Nintendo... No, I already asked him that one. Then what does he have to do here? Michael Oh, Keith says that again. I don't know. I don't believe that. I'm not sure I believe you about your uncle. Michael takes a moment to respond, as if he is not quite sure he heard you correctly. What? I don't believe your uncle works for Nintendo. You think you've finally done it. Michael stands up, fists clenched at his sides, mouth twisting horribly as he struggles to say something. You watch as he takes a step toward you and you clench your teeth and wait. Michael darts forward and pushes you back onto the hardwood floor, cracking your skull against the carpet. Nah, I'm gonna go down swinging if I'm going down. You take the initiative and throw a punch before he can go for you again. Oh. You shove yourself up off the floor and send your fist into Michael's stomach. For a moment you're shocked at what you've done as he stands there gasping in his pajamas, but then suddenly, bad expression, I hate you. You hear something, or think you hear something, someone shouting, and then you've fallen flat on the floor. For a moment, you don't think you can get up. Your whole body feels heavy. Did he hit you? I hate you, says Michael. Leave me alone. You finally manage to sit up as he turns back to his game. You take a moment to collect yourself. That's pretty aggressive for one little argument. I'll go call Mom. Passing through the empty dining room, you hit to the kitchen, where the phone sits on the counter. Oh, there it is, right there. Like that. Call Mom. You dial your mom's work number and wait. She picks up after 3 rings. Things are really weird here. What? What do you mean? I just want to go home, Mom. Please? Something in your voice seems to give her pause. Okay, she says after a moment. I'll call the sitter and tell her to come pick you up. It'll probably be an hour. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. Of course, she says, with the hint of a sigh. I'll call her now, okay? She'll be there in an hour. Be safe. She hangs up. Return to the den and pack your things. The clock chimes as you enter the den. The clock is chiming. Michael is standing in the middle of the den, his hands at his sides and an odd smile on his face. You're too late, he says. He's here. And then... Ooh. Uh-oh. That's him, says Michael, standing up. I should let him in. As he leaves the den, you realize you could follow, but a part of you really feels like being scarce for a bit. Bathroom. You run down the hall to the bathroom and lock the door behind you. Or at least, this could have been a bathroom. The walls are bare and white, and there's no sink or toilet, but there are some odd, featureless white boxes that could stand in for a shower or a linen closet. You crawl into the plain white box that is about the size of a linen closet and close it behind you. From the front of the house, you can hear the front door slam open. After that, you don't hear anything except bad expression, child, and the rain. No, not just the rain, but that voice in the back of your head. Like bad expression. I am coming for you, child. Like something you can't even begin to describe. Though you locked the door behind you, you hear it open easily. You're not sure how you know something is out there, because you don't exactly, oh child, hear it moving, but you know it's there, and you know it's stopped. Poor child, right outside your hiding spot. It opens the door, even though you immediately realize it doesn't have any hands. Oh, child. I am so hungry, child. You cannot run, child. Hello, child. No more worries, child. Hello, child. Cease. I have friends for you, child. Friends for you in the dark. You will play forever in the dark. Oh, my God. Okay. The uncle who works for Nintendo. A Twine game by Michael Lutz, original art by Kimberly Parker, abstract backgrounds made with Icosa by MCC, scripts and CSS resources by Leon Arnott and Tori Hoke, sound credits, inspirations, endings, locked, run, locked, something, restart from the beginning, or restart from at 7 in the den. Just play games, take it easy, and have a good time. Nothing to get freaked out over. Meet your guest at the door. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely weird here. Decide you don't feel like spending the night. Call your mom and ask to be taken home. Be sure you have enough time for your ride to show up. Yeah, I think that was... You tried to hide, but the uncle who works for Nintendo found you. Some things you remember don't match what you see. Learn what you can. Ask questions. Have a serious talk. Don't be mean, but still. Get out of there. Some things you remember don't match what you see. Learn what you can. Ask questions. Have a serious talk. Don't be mean, but still. Get out of there. And then make what might be the worst decision ever. Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to 7, and I'm gonna, like, what's the word? I'm gonna just cut to anything different from what I did before. One quick question, then. Was your friend's father drinking beer at dinner? I'm not sure what I saw. You head toward the kitchen, thinking you may grab a soda from the fridge. On the way, you have to head through the dining room. Michael's mom and dad are still there. Oh? The table hasn't yet been cleared, and they're still sitting in the exact same places you left them. In fact, you realize they aren't moving at all. They sit there, completely still like mannequins. Michael's dad is holding up his glass of lemonade as if getting ready to take a drink. Michael's mom has her head turned and her mouth slightly open, as if she froze immediately after you and Michael left the dining room. Attempt to talk to them. Are you okay? They don't respond. Thunder rumbles outside. They don't seem to notice. Please, are you okay? They aren't even blinking. Run past them into the kitchen. You are in the empty kitchen. The dining room is behind you. You could grab something out of the fridge, or exit through the back to return to the den. I need me some milk after that. Talk to Michael. School. You and Michael discussed class a few days ago, when the teacher publicly chastised a classmate you mutually dislike. You tell Michael what you saw. What? He asks, looking over his shoulder at you and pausing his game. Your parents are sitting in the dining room still. They're not moving. They're not even blinking. Are you sure? Says Michael, frowning at you. I bet they're just being weird. Give me a second. As he stands and moves out of the room, he points back at the at the 64. You can play my game if you want. Oh, wait. You stand alone in the den, listening to the wind outside and the chiming of the grandfather clock. You try to listen to the conversation Michael must be having with his parents, but you don't hear anything. After a while, Michael comes back. They look fine to me, says Michael. Mom said she's going to bring us popcorn soon. What? Nice try for a prank, though, says Michael, seemingly ignoring you. Oh, and one more thing, he says while he resumes his spot in front of the Nintendo. Thanks for sending me out then. Mom made me help her clean up after all. Special company. What? Oh, my uncle is coming to visit. What time is it? 8:30? Let's just chill. Ask about parents. How are your parents doing? What are you talking about? Asks Michael. They're fine, I guess. How's your mom? She's good. I wish she didn't have to work so late all the time. Listen, I know this will sound weird, but at dinner I thought I saw your dad drinking a beer. Michael doesn't even look at you. My dad doesn't drink, he says. Yeah, I know. That's why I thought it was so weird, because when I looked again it was just a glass of lemonade. This seems to catch Michael's attention, as he stops playing the game and turns to look at you. Are you sure you saw that? Yeah, totally weird, huh? Yeah, says Michael, and then he grins at you. Maybe you're losing it. So much for that. What else is there to talk about? Let's just watch him play for a bit. Michael decides you should play the next game alone. It's pretty boring. You're at a party having a conversation with the man in a business suit, but for some reason you can't move the camera up to see above his mouth. He's always smiling. He tells you a story about how people always mistake him for someone else. Did you figure it out? Asks Michael, once the game has apparently stood up and left once the man in the game has apparently stood up and left the conversation. Of course. So you know who he really is? Asks Michael, and from the tone of his voice, you don't think he believes you. He was the guy he was telling me people kept mistaking him for. Maybe. Michael laughs. Maybe, he says, pushing past you to choose the next game. You realize you've played for quite some time. Interesting. Okay, so I brought up that I saw his parents not moving, and I was asked if I was hallucinating. Of course you were, says Michael, you weirdo. But you see, earlier at dinner I saw your dad drinking a beer. Then it's that again. Michael invites you over to play a game of Mario Kart. Michael wins every round pretty easily, and you start to feel like this was a mistake. He is just too competitive and, frankly, a lot better than you. Good game, he says, smirking. Good game. Ready to try again? Michael asks. Let's switch it up, you say. You've been playing for a while. The grandfather clock chimes the hour as Michael suddenly looks up from the 64. It's time, he says. I don't want to play games anymore. There's the uncle. Hey. I'm just gonna follow him this time. The knocking continues persistently as you follow Michael to the front of the house. Outside the pebbled glass of the front window, you can see a tall, dark shadow. Michael goes to the door, undoes the deadbolt, and cracks it open. You can come in, he says to whoever stands out there on the porch, then looks over his shoulder at you. Sorry, he says. Before you can ask what there is to be sorry about, the door slams open. Dead. Undefined error. You met the uncle who works for Nintendo. Okay. And here we go again. This isn't funny. They aren't even blinking. Run back to the den. After a moment of hesitation, you sit down and play the game Michael has running. It's a little like Banjo-Kazooie, but it's not a game you're familiar with. The colors are a little weird. Still, it's relaxing. After a while, Michael comes back. You're feeling anxious, and apparently you are showing it. Michael looks at you and bites his lip. Watch this, he says. On screen, the game's main character is in a car on a crowded street, in what looks like virtual New York City. Michael revs it up and begins mowing down pedestrians, giggling. You don't think this is very funny, but to Michael it's hilarious. After a while, he stops the car and waits. An ambulance appears, and once the paramedics exit, he beats them to death with a baseball bat. Isn't this great? He asks, the little fucking psychopath. This goes on for a while. Oh, I said it would be cool to meet his uncle. Yeah, agrees Michael. I think you'll like him. What sort of work does your uncle do? Michael pauses the game and turns toward you, visibly agitated. How should I know? I don't work for them. Right now he is not quite yelling, but you think if you keep pressing the subject he might. Sorry, I was just curious. Ah, here we go. You walk around the perimeter of the den, inspecting the pictures idly. Most of them are family portraits from years past, Michael cradled lovingly between his mother and father, or any one of the three on their own. A happy, tidy family. Wait. No, something is wrong here. Where is Michael's brother? You know he has a brother. You know it, except he's not here, in any of these pictures, and you... Think harder about the brother. He was older. Not much. 1 or 2 years. A jerk sometimes, but not any more of a jerk than you are to your little sister. When it snowed, your mom would pay him to shovel the sidewalk outside your house. He lived next door. His name was... You can't remember his name. Ask Michael about his brother. Hey, why aren't there any pictures of your brother up? Michael pauses the game he is playing and gives you an odd look. I don't have a brother, he says, but I remember him. There is a long moment of uncomfortable silence, broken only by distant thunder, the Nintendo, and the clock ticking. You're such a weirdo, says Michael, and turns back to the Nintendo. The subject, it seems, has been dropped. You don't feel like playing games or watching anyone play games. What time is it? 10:30? This passage does not exist. Kitchen. Oh! quietly begin gathering up your things. This draws Michael's attention. What are you doing? He asks. Explain that you're leaving. What? Michael asks. Michael stands up, not even bothering to pause the game. No, you can't leave. It's almost time. Almost time for what? You can't go, says Michael, ignoring your question. There's so much stuff I had planned for tonight. I was going to let you play the next Zelda game, the one that's not even out yet. Before you can say anything, he is already running upstairs. Michael continually runs up and down the stairs, bringing you games and consoles while you pack up your things. Every time he presents something new, you ignore him or brush it off with an uncaring shrug. Please, Michael says, just stay. Stay the night, please. Outside, you hear a car horn honk. No, you say, and with your night bag slung over one shoulder, you march to the front door and exit into the night. As you walk to the sitter's car, you see your little sister in the back seat, still in her pajamas. The sitter, a high school girl who lives down the street from you, looks incredibly unhappy to be here, but you think you'll be able to handle her. As you climb into the car, you cast one last look over your shoulder, back to the house. Michael is standing in the doorway, totally still, not screaming, not crying, not doing much of anything. The car begins to pull away from the house, and as you watch, you see his parents appear in the doorway behind him. Wave. Without acknowledging you, Michael's parents lay their hands on his shoulders. You recognize in their movements something unnatural, something stiff and mechanical. They turn Michael back into the house, the door closing just as everything slides out of view. When you turn around in your seat to look out the back window, you can't even see the house's lights. Michael doesn't show up at school on Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday. On Thursday, you ask your teacher, Mr. Scott, where Michael is. He blinks at you confusedly. Oh, he says, eventually. Michael. Well, I'm surprised he didn't tell you about this, but he and his family moved away. The house is empty when you ride your bike by that afternoon. It somehow seems even larger without anything or anyone in it. A for sale sign stands in the yard out front. Go home. You never see Michael again, and eventually, as the years pass, you forget about him entirely. End. Nice. So we ran away. So now we have 2 more endings. Okay, so we're back at the him getting ready to fight. I flinch. Michael shakes his head as if remembering something. Never mind, he says. Just never mind. You want to say something more, but he is already re-immersed in the video game. You take a breather. Michael is ignoring the Nintendo and is sitting on the floor, doing nothing. There's a bowl of popcorn on the floor. Talk to Michael. You remember the storm? Asks Michael. It's different. Yeah, you say, nodding. But no one remembers the storm, he says. Could you please stop messing with me? Michael shakes his head. No, you don't understand. Please, I'm not messing with you. But this is important. But this is different. Something's different. He said no one would remember the storm. Who? He came out of the storm. I was home alone, Michael begins, his eyes growing distant. Mom was at work. Dad was out at the bar. Listen. I answered the door when the knocking started. He said he was lost and hungry. He said he could help me. All I had to do was promise to feed him. Michael tenses. What is that? It's my uncle, Michael says. Or, that's what he told me to call him. I don't really know. I don't know what it is. What did he do? He changed things, says Michael. He said he could make things happen any way I wanted them to. That I would always be the best as long as I fed him. What did you have to feed him? Michael looks at you, his eyes watering. For a long time, he doesn't say anything, and then suddenly, you understand. I want to go home. No, Michael says. You can't. You can't. He's already on his way. No. There it is. Like a voice, not something you hear exactly, but still somewhere in the back of your head. Michael heard it too. See? He asks. See? He's almost here. I'm calling my mom. Michael is sitting silently on the floor as you come in. You're leaving, aren't you? He says. I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I should have known it was different, Michael said, mumbles. You were remembering too much. If your uncle's so powerful, why can't he just keep me here? Michael frowns. He gets weak. He can't do as much. Is that why things have been different? Is he weaker now? Please, says Michael, please don't go. I've never not fed him, and if I don't, I'm not sure what will happen. So you just want me to get eaten or whatever? No, please no. He replies, it's not... I think he'll kill me, do you understand? He would have killed me if I didn't. Continue packing in silence. Why could you hear him? He asks, but it doesn't seem like he expects you to answer. You both lapse into an awkward silence. Eventually, a car honks outside. You get up to leave. Michael has wandered over to the fireplace and is looking into its unlit depths as you walk out the door and into the night. The front door is closed. You suddenly can't remember if you did that yourself. The lights in the den are still burning. And then that all stays the same. You find out the next afternoon about the fire. It started in the den, say the papers, where there was known to be a fireplace. Apparently it was left smoldering in the night. There were no survivors. Arson is suspected, since an accelerant would have helped the flames overcome the night's heavy rains, but nothing definitive is ever publicly released on this account. On the one day after school, you ride your bike by to check it out. Parts of the house still stand, walls and beams blackened by the flames. Yellow caution tape has been looped around the outside, and the rubble hasn't yet been totally cleared out by the city. You decide to investigate. The second floor has either mostly burned away or fallen through, but standing in what used to be the den, you look up to the hole that would have been Michael's room. The broken glass and charred drywall crunch beneath your feet, until you step on something that isn't glass. You look down. There in the mess is what looks like a Game Boy. It's a Game Boy Color, not at all scuffed or damaged. In the back is a single cartridge, a copy of Pokemon Blue. Let's not. You leave the ruined house and hop back on your bike, pedaling back home. Your mom doesn't have to work tonight, and since she knows you're taking recent events hard, she's promised to take you and your little sister to the movies. You don't think about Michael at all. All unsaved data will be lost. Okay. Got it. That's impossible, Michael says. Impossible. No one remembers it. But I do. Michael shakes his head. No, you don't understand. Please, I'm not messing with you, but this is important. But this is different. Something's different. He said no one would remember the storm. Uncle again. I listened last time, but I don't want to ask where his brother was. Yeah, you remember him too. He was there, upstairs. Said it was the brightest lightning he ever saw. Then the knocking started. What happened then? I answered the door when the knocking started. He said he was lost and hungry. He said he could help me. All I had to do was promise to feed him. Who were you feeding? It's my uncle. Or that's what he told me to call him. I don't really know. I don't know what it is. The change things thing. What did you have to feed him? I want to go home. No. Calling my mom. Call mom. Okay. Okay, so we're back at the fire. We've got the Game Boy. I'm going to take it this time. Looking from side to side as if someone might actually be watching, you pick up the Game Boy and flick on the power switch. After clicking through the Pokemon intro screens, you find there is no saved game on the cart. It's like a brand new copy. You turn off the Game Boy and, stuffing it in your pocket, return home. Your mom is standing in the kitchen when you arrive, doing dishes, and your little sister is watching some annoying cartoon. Remember to take a bath and get dressed before 7, Mom calls. Remember? You're fairly certain she never told you to do that in the first place. You walk into the kitchen, dropping your backpack on the linoleum floor. Why do I need to do that? Silly, she says. Your mom turns from the sink to smile at you, and your throat tightens when you see how glassy and empty her eyes are. Don't you remember, she asks, your uncle is coming over for dinner to celebrate his new job. Ah, mistake made. Ooh. Repetition with a difference. It is not the time for running. Go where you're not wanted. Go where you've been told you can't go. Aha! There is nothing in the shower. No bottles of soap or shampoo, and no shower head or faucet. It's just an empty box. What is going on here? The closet is completely empty. The walls are a strange, untextured white. You realize that there's something wrong with the toilet. The water in the bowl looks solid, like glass. When you attempt to turn the handle, nothing happens, but the toilet emits the sound of flushing anyway. You suddenly don't feel like having to go anymore. Okay, so I'm all the way to him knocking. Go anyway to the kitchen. Bad expression. What? You go to the kitchen. No, child. There is not much of a... This is not allowed, child. Tell the uncle to be quiet. It falls silent for the moment. It has grown weak since you haven't been feeding it. Take out the Game Boy. From your pocket, you pull Michael's Game Boy Color. The uncle is somewhere behind the half-textured walls, grumbling to itself. Turn on the Game Boy. Oh. It's probably not a good idea to save when... Stop this, child! Things are getting so messed up. Ooh. Huh. In the corner, their grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a nearby set of patio doors, you can see it's dark and rainy. Michael is parked in front of the large TV, playing something on the Nintendo 64. Suddenly he jumps, as if you scared him by entering when you did, and turns to look at you. What was that? He asks. I know about the uncle. Michael blinks uneasily at you. I don't know what... Do not listen. You mean... What are you talking about? I used it to come back here. Stop this, stop this, stop this! Michael looks around uneasily. It's alright. How is this happening? Michael asks. I'm starving it to death. Michael shakes his head in disbelief. What are you here for? What are you doing? The rain outside increases in tempo, or stops, sounding exactly like rain. I came back to save you. Michael takes a step toward you. How did you do that? It's weak. But it changed so much, says Michael. Not really. It's just said I am your god, and I'm like, denied. But all the others, says Michael, they're gone. No, we're here. We're all here. Still. It doesn't eat all at once, it's slow. Yeah. I made so many. My parents, my brother. I don't deserve it. Why did you come back for me? Suddenly Michael is crying. Why did you come back for me? Because we're friends. Things are starting to change. The uncle, the thing that calls itself an uncle, is either on the verge of death or making a final gamble to stop either of you from leaving. Michael is still crying. Take Michael's hand. Michael looks up at you. You really came back for me. You really think we can do this? It wants us to hate each other, and I won't do that. With a sad smile, he nods. Okay, let's go. Exit. Huh. I don't understand. The games offered me something I didn't have before, gave me a sense of place, a sense of who I was, of who I could be. So old, so wise, so long in the hunts. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sorry you were hurting and I did not listen. It doesn't control us. It isn't our only choice, even if it wants us to think it is. You are my friend. No more games. You are my friend, and I am here for you. Ah! Oh, that was so good. Oh, I loved that. Oh my god. That was such a good ending. And I've unlocked the author's notes. There are several endings to this game, and yet, if you are reading this, it's because you've attained the ending after which I do not think there can be any more play. If you haven't unlocked all the endings and were planning to do so, I'm sorry for what probably seems to be a blunder in design. Alternatively, you could read the short essays that follow, since their appearance here was definitely an intended effect of the design. There are various reflections I composed for my own clarification and guidance while making and testing this game. They are likely tedious and, to greater or lesser degrees, beside the point of whatever experience you had while playing the game, but that is why they are hidden content. Nevertheless, if you would like more traditional hidden content, please click here. And at any rate, thanks for playing. Congratulations! You have unlocked alternate outfits for all characters. During your next playthrough, do your best to imagine the characters wearing different outfits than the ones you imagined them wearing before. Some suggestions. You and your friends are now dressed like Auron and Tidus from Final Fantasy X. Your friend's parents are wearing horse armor. Please PayPal me $5 for this privilege. j.michael.lutz@gmail.com. The uncle who works for Nintendo has been replaced with DreamWorks' beloved character Shrek. But really, your imagination is the only limit. That's the magic of games. I liked that. That was awesome. That took a very long time, but it was a very well-spent long time. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that'll be the end of this video. So leave a like down below if you liked it, comment if you have any tips, tricks, suggestions, or any other things you'd like to see me play, any other games you want to see. If you want to see me do more visual novels like this, let me know. And don't forget to share the video, subscribe if you haven't already, ring that notification bell, and check me out on the new social media. And we'll see you guys next time.